Vihan was born in a small town surrounded by hills and rivers. The air was fresh, the streets narrow, and the most families lived a simple life where dreams were limited to securing a stable government job or running a small family shop. But from every young age, Vihan was different. He would sit on the rooftop of his modest house, staring at the sky, imagining a bigger life. His mind was restless, filled with questions and ambitions that seemed unusual for a boy of his age. His father, Ramesh, was a school teacher, and his mother, Suman, stayed at home managing the household. They did not have much money, but they have discipline, honesty, and values. Vihan grew up learning the importance of integrity and the hard work. Yet, as he grew older, he realized that honesty alone could not put food on the table and build the future he dreamt of. The family's monthly income was barely enough to survive, and sometimes they had to borrow money from relatives to pay medical bills and buy school supplies. Even as a child, Vihan noticed the struggle his parents faced. He often wondered why life had been so unfair. While someone's children in the school were having branded shoes and carrying stylish bags, Vihan made do with the second-hand books and patched up clothes. But instead of complaining, he promised himself silently, "One day I will change this. One day my family will live with dignity." At the age of 14, Vian had his first taste of entrepreneurship during summer vacation. While most kids spent their time playing cricket and watching movies, Vian sold lemonade on a small stall near the bus stop. It wasn't much, just a table, a jug, and few glasses. But Vihan, it had the first business venture he should with energy, trying to attract passengers who waited buses. Some laughed at him, calling him chai wala or a juice boy, but Vihan didn't care. Every coin he earned felt like a victory. By the end of the summer, he had saved enough to buy new shoes for school and small gift for his mother. That smile on her face became a fuel. For that moment on, Vian knew he was not meant for an ordinary life. He wanted to build a business and create opportunities and lift his family out of struggle. As Vian grew older, he selected in studies, not because he was naturally brilliant, but because he worked harder than anyone else. He would wake up at 5 a.m., study under the dim light of a kerosene lamp when the electricity failed, and walk 3 kilometers to the school because his family couldn't afford a bicycle. Teachers admired him, but life outside the classroom was harsh. When he turned 18, Vian got admission in a decent college in the nearby city. His father used most of his savings to pay the fees, and Vian promised he would not let him down. But college life was a turning point. For the first time, Vian saw the world of wealth up close. Many of the classmates came from rich families. They had laptops, smartphones, and cars, while Vihan had nothing but a second-hand phone with a cracked screen. He felt like an outsider, one sitting alone in the cafeteria while others laughed at partied. But instead of feeling defeated, he observed them closely. He noticed how they talked about businesses, ideas, startup, and investment. That lit a fire inside him. He began reading books on business, leadership, and motivation. While others wasted time, Vihan spent nights in the library, dreaming of building his own empire one day. During his second year of college, Vian decided to act on his dream. With just 2000 he has saved from tutoring younger students, he started a small business and selling handmade notebooks. He bought plain notebooks from a wholesale market, decorated the covers with creative designs, and sold them at a slightly higher price to the classmates. At first, no one took him seriously. Someone laughed, saying, "Why waste time on this? Who's going to buy your silly notebooks?" But slowly, word spread. Students loved the unique design. Within weeks, Vian sold out his stock. He reinvested the money, scaled up, and even got a small bulk order in the nearly stationery shop. For the first time, Vihan felt he was on the right path. He wasn't just earning money, he was building confidence. But success didn't last long. In the third year, just as his notebook business was growing, tragedy struck. His father fell seriously ill and diagnosed with heart condition. The family had no saving left and they needed a huge amount of money for surgery. Vian had to shut down his business and rush home to take care of his father. The little money he had saved was spent on medicine, but it was not enough. Vian went to the relative to begging help. Most of them turned their backs. We can't help you, they said. We have our own problems, they also said that. Vian felt helpless. Vian felt helpless. Watching his father in the pain broke him emotionally. One night, sitting outside the hospital, he cried silently, whispering, "Why is life so cruel? Why can't I protect my family?" That night changed him forever. He made a decision no matter what happened, he would never again let his family suffer like this. He would become so strong, financially independent, and so powerful to face any storm. After months of struggle, his father's condition stabilized, but the family was now in heavy debt. Vihan returned to college with nothing, no money, no business, just a heavy heart. Many classmates who once bought his notebook now ignored him, whispering behind his back about how he failed. But Vihan didn't give up. He knew that he had to start again from scratch. This time, he looked for the part-time jobs. He worked as a waiter in the small cafe, washed dishes, and even distributed flyers in the streets. Every rupee he earned went into paying his father's medical bills. He lived on a one meal a day, wore the same clothes for weeks, and slept on the floor at the rented room to save money. The struggle was unbearable, but deep inside, Vihan believed this only is temporary. He reminded himself, "This is not my destination, this is just part of the journey." One evening, after finishing his shift at the cafe, Vihan sat alone in his room. He opened his old notebook and wrote down a dream in bold letters. "I will build a business empire. I will rise from nothing. I will succeed. And this is sure." He pasted the page and wall right above his bed so that the first thing he saw every morning is that note. He began saving again, no matter how small the amount is, 10, 20, 50, every coin in a small jar. He cut down all luxuries, focused on learning business skills, and spent hours watching free online courses on marketing, sales, and entrepreneurship. Little did he know, the discipline and hunger would soon open the doors in the next big step. By the final year of the college, Vian had saved enough to try something new. The world was moving forward to digital platforms, and he noticed how small local struggled business with their online presence. He thought, what if I create a service that helps them to get online services? With this idea, Vian started a small digital marketing service. He approached local shops, offering to create a social media pages and run basic online promotions for them at very low cost. Many rejected him, but few gave him a chance. Within months, his work began to show results. Shops saw an increase in customers, word spread. Vian was no longer the boy just selling the books and washing dishes. He was now building entrepreneur in the digital age. But this was only the beginning. Bigger challenges, betrayals, and sacrifices awaited him. Vihan woke up early the next morning. The sun was still soft and the birds outside his window were singing. He sat on his bed for a few minutes, staring at the wall. His mind was heavy. The meeting from yesterday kept repeating in his head. He remembered the question, the doubts, and the way some people looked at him when he said the idea could grow. But instead of feeling weak, he felt a strange fire inside him. His heart was telling him, this is not the end, this is only the start. He got up, washed his face, and stood in front of the mirror. His eyes looked tired, but deep inside he saw a spark. He spoke softly to himself, Vihan, no one will build your dream for you. You must do it for yourself. Even if people laugh, even if they doubt, even if you fail, you must stand. With this small talk gave him a lot of energy. Vian's business idea was about offering daily use products at affordable prices, but with better service than others. He believed that customers did not just want to buy products, they also want respect and trust. But the reality was not easy. He had very little money left. The suppliers was not giving him credit. Some old friends were avoiding his calls because they thought his business was already shrinking. Still, he decided to move step by step. He made a list what he could control, his effort, how much time and energy he gave, his learning, what new skills he could pick up, his service, how he treated customers. He told himself, if I cannot control the big things now, I will control the small things. Slowly, the small things will become big. This was a very much good thinking. That day, instead of sitting in his office, Vihan went directly to the market. He walked from shop to shop, talking to small suppliers. Many rejected him, some even laughed at him for his condition, but one or two listened carefully. One old shopkeeper said, Son, I see honesty in your eyes. I cannot give you a big credit, but I can give a small stock. If you will manage well, next time I will give you more. Vihan felt like he had found a little ray of light in a dark room. He thanked the old man again and again. With the small stock, Vihan started selling it again. He personally delivered some orders to the customers' houses. At first, he felt embarrassed because other businessmen had delivery boys, and here he was carrying bags on the scooter. But then he reminded himself, no work is small when it is for your dream. One day, people will remember these days as the base of my success. Long nights, hard days. Vihan routine become very tough. Morning, market visits. Afternoon, customer calls and deliveries. Evening, meeting new people for possible tie-ups. Night, sitting alone, waiting accounts and planning next day. There were nights when he did not sleep at all. Sometimes he ate only one meal in a day because money was so tight. He even sold his watch to his favorite shoes brand, arranged cash for paying a supplier. But every time he felt weak, he remembered why he started. He remembered the look of his families when he told them he would success. He remembered the people who laughed at him. And deep inside, he made a promise, I will not stop. I will not give up. Weeks passed. Vihan's hard work slowly started to show results. Customers began to notice his honesty and his efforts. They said things like, Vihan brother delivers on time. His products are clean and fresh. He respects customers unlike other. Word of mouth started working. From 5 customers, he went to 15. From 15, he reached 50. Slowly, his shop began to look busy again. One evening, a customer told him, Vihan, I don't buy from you only because your prices are good. I buy because I trust you. In today's world, trust is rare. Only few people can afford it. Those words touched Vihan's heart. He went home that night, smiled for the first time in many weeks, and maybe thought that his dream was not impossible. He can just reach over there. But just when things were starting to improve, a new problem arose. A big competitor opened a store very close to his. The store had more money, more products, big advertisement everywhere. People told Vihan, now you will be losing everything. Now you can fight such a big shop. At first, he felt fear, but then he told to himself, big shop may have big money, but I have relationship. I will fight with honesty and service. Instead of cutting prices blindly, he started offering personalized service. He remembered small details about customers like what brand of rice they liked or when the children's exam were. He would ask about their families. Customer felt cared for. Some even said, "The big store may give discount, but Vihan, you give us the respect. That's why we are buying the products from you." That was his hidden power, and we can say that was his USP. Behind his small wins, there were big sacrifices that no one saw. He stopped going out with friends. He stopped buying clothes. He spent every single rupee back into the business. Sometimes his families asked, "Why do you work so much? You look tired." He would smile and say, "I am building something bigger. One day, this pain will turn into pride." And deep inside, he prayed every night, "God, just give me the strength to continue." Vihan realized that working hard was not enough. He had to work smart, so he started reading simple business books and watching online videos late night. He learned about marketing on social media, managing small financial, negotiating with suppliers. He started applying small techniques, for example, posting daily offers on WhatsApp groups, giving handwritten thank you notes to regular customers, keeping records of every small expense. This small step make a big difference. Customer felt special, suppliers began to trust him more, and slowly his shop started making a steady profits again. But success was not smooth. Many times Vihan felt tired. Many times he asked himself, "Why am I not doing all this? What if I fail?" One rainy night, he sat outside his shop, water dripping from the roof, his clothes half wet. That sales day were very much poor, and he was exhausted. For a moment, he wanted to quit. He thought of closing everything and going back to a simple job. But then he remembered the faces of his customers, the words of the old shopkeeper, and his own promise. He wiped his face and whispered, "No, I will continue. The fight is mine." That night became a turning point in his art. From the on, he stopped fearing failure. He accepted that failure might come, but quitting was not an option. Months passed, his shop grew stronger, his income improved, he hired one helper and two. He no longer had to make any delivery by himself, but he still have kept the same habits, talking customers personally, keeping promises, and respecting even the smallest order. One evening, while closing the shop, he smiled and thought, I started again with nothing but hope. Today I may not be rich, but I am stable, and I know this is just the beginning." Vihan closed his shop late that night and stood outside for a minute. The street was quiet. A stray dog moved past a closed tea stall. He pulled down the shutter and touched the lock to check it twice. His hands were rough from lifting the boxes all day, but his heart felt a little light. The shop had survived many hard days, and now it was steady. He knew this was not the end, it was only a safe step on a long road. He thought of early months, the fear, the empty shelf, the big store next door, and the bright lights. He smiled to himself and said in a low voice, "I am still here." The next morning, he woke up before the alarm. It was still dark outside. He boiled a tea on the stove and stood by the window with a cup in his hand. His helper, Sagar, would arrive by 9. The other new boy, Rafi, would come by 10. Before they come, Vihan wanted to plan the whole day. He took out his old notebook and wrote the date. He made 3 simple lines: buy, sell, improve. Under buy, he listed the items that had gone low: rice, flour, oil, biscuits, tea leaves, detergent, etc. Under sell, he wrote the names of customers who had asked for callbacks. Under improve, he wrote arrange the shelf by brand, clean counter, make WhatsApp list, and ask for feedback. This was the list. When the sun ached over the rooftop and the first bird called, he stepped out of the road from the scooter to the Mandi road, where small suppliers opened their shutters early. He had tea with the trader who often helped him with the small credit. The man told him prices of oil might rise next week. Vihan did not argue. He listened, asked two simple questions, and decided to buy a little extra oil for today so that he could sell at a fair price. When the market price moved up, he did not have big money, but he had learned to use small money wisely. He paid part cash, part due, and took simple paper slip with amount. By 9, he and Sagar were crying snacks inside the shop. The fan turned slow. The floor was dusty. Sagar cleaned the counter with the wet cloth while Vihan cut open sacks and filled big clear jars with rice and flours. He wrote new prices on small cards and placed them carefully. He did not like mess. He believed a neat shelf was a quiet promise to the customer. It said, I respect your time. Before 10, Rafi arrived. He was younger and eager. He often made a small mistakes, but he learned fast. Vian showed him how to stack oil tins so that the label faced front and the date of the stock in was written at the top with marker. It was a small habit, but it saved time later. They put fresh bread in the front of the counter so that it will be pick easy, and they arranged biscuits by brand and size. They kept a small bowl of toffees near the cash box for children. Little things matter. Vian taught customer remember how you make them feel. By 11, the first rush started. A school teacher came for monthly items. She liked to chat while choosing soup or shampoo. Vian did not hurry her. He answered the questions with patience, and old man came up with the list of written careful handwriting. He wanted the cheapest but the good quality. Vian gave him options and explained the difference in simple words. A young mother came with carrying a child. Vihan quickly gave the child a toffee and spoke softly to mother, felt calm. Sales were not only about the price, they were about the care. This was his strength. At noon, the big store down the lane, the bright banner with loudspeaker. Festival sale, big discount. The music played on repeat. Sagar looked at the banner and then at Vihan. There was a pause. Vihan nodded once. We do what we do best, he said. He did not drop his prices to a loss. Instead of his asked Rasif to help him pack two simple family combo bags, one with rice, flour and oil and pulses, another with soap, shampoo, toothpaste and detergent. He added a small free salt packet in each combo. He printed a simple paper slip, family pack, fair price, free home delivery today. He sent the slip to the WhatsApp list, which he had built the name by over the last months. People started replying with short messages. Keep one for me. Deliver by evening. Please add tea. The loud music from the big store kept playing, but Vihan's phone began to buzz too. After lunch, which was just two rotis for a small ball of sabji eaten on a stool at the back, Vihan checked the accounts book. He had learned not to skip this. Money liked clarity. If he did not write it, it would slip like sand from an open fist. He wrote every sale, every due amount, every small cost. When Rafi made a small mistake and gave one extra biscuit packet to a customer by incident, Vihan did not shout. He called him near, showed the bill, explained slowly, and told him to note the issue so it did not happen again. Calm now saved hours later. In the late afternoon, rain clouds gathered. The light turned grey. A cool wind come through the shutter gap. A delivery call came from a lane that often flooded in heavy rain. Vihan looked at the sky and decided to go himself before the rain, taking Sagar alone. They covered the scooter with seat with plastic, tied the bags tight with rope, and left quickly. On the way, he saw a big store had 4 delivery boys waiting but they looked confused because of traffic jam near the signal. Vihan chose a side lane he knew from childhood. He reached the customer early and helped the family carry the bag inside. The old grandmother blessed him, won the ride back. The first drops of rain fell. He felt relief that he had gone on time. By evening, the rain was heavy. The stop was warm and bright. People came in wet clothes and stood for a minute under the fan to dry their hairs. Vihan kept a small towel on the counter for anyone who needed it. There is dignity in small kindness, he taught again. A college boy came and asked if he could charge his phone for a few minutes. Vihan said yes and put the phone near the cash box where he could watch it. The boy thanked him and later bought two items he did not plan to buy. Trust returns in new shapes. When the rain stopped, there was a soft smell in the air. Vihan chose the class box, counted slowly, and wrote the total. It was not a record day, but it was steady. He knew now the business grows like a plant, not like a firecracker. Water is daily. Remove the weeds, give it sun, protect it from storm, then wait. The fruit will come when it must. The next week bought a test he did not accept. One of his important suppliers changed the payment terms without notice. The man wanted full cash on delivery for big batch of oil tins. Vihan did not have that much cash that day because two customers had asked for a 2-day delay payment. He felt his throat go to dry for a second, but he kept his voice even. He asked the supplier to step aside and spoke softly. I have always paid you. I am never late more than 2 days. If you push me today, I will not be able to buy from next time. Work with me and I will grow with you. The supplier looked at him for a long moment. The corridor was noisy. A trolley passed by the cafes of soda bottle. At last, the supplier said, okay, pay 60% now and the rest in 2 days. Vihan thanked him and kept the promise. 2 days later, first thing in the morning, trust grew here too. On Sunday, the shop stayed open half day. After closing, Vihan took Sagar and Rafi for a tea. They sat on a bench outside the stall watching traffic move. He told them they were doing well, but they had to become sharper. He explained again how to check the weight of the rice scale, how to double count cash when a customer pays in a hurry, how to speak clearly on the phone and repeat the order. He did not give a speech. He told simple stories from a week. Rafi listened with full attention. Sagar asked questions. Vihan liked this. He knew that if he trained them well, they will care of this thing. That night, he sat with his parents at the dining table. His mother asked if he is eating enough. His father asked if he was keeping a count of credit sales. He nodded to the both and told a small funny story about a child who demanded 2 toffees for carrying his own milk packet to the scooter. They laughed. Laughter was also food. He felt grateful for it. A few days later, a woman from a nearby school came with a request. The school was planning a small fair for the children and parents. They wanted a stall for daily needs for fair prices, especially family packs and hygiene items. They wanted someone who could not cheat with weight and expire date. The woman said she had heard from parents that Vihan was honest. He felt warm pride, but he kept his face calm. He asked for a date. He expected footfall and the list of the items they wanted. He said he would prepare a simple rate card and bring clean stock with clear labels. He also offered keep a small dustbin near the stall and carry it back when he left so school is ground is clear. The woman smiled and said that would be nice. Small extra steps were his habit now. Preparing for this fair took 3 evenings. He cleaned stock, checked all expiry dates, and made simple boards with mark pens and white card. Family pack combo, hygiene pack, buy two get one small free. He borrowed a foldable table from a neighbor, cleaned it, and tied a cloth over it so it looked neat. He kept a tiny first aid in his bag too, just in case a child fell while running. He liked to be ready. One day of the fair, the sun was sharp and the ground shimmered. Children ran everywhere. Parents held bags and water bottles. Vihan set up his stall under a tent. He placed items in straight lines, kept in a small bowl of free salt snatches. He greeted every person with simple namaste and a smile. He did not push for sales, he answered questions with patience. When someone asked why his price was a rupee or 2 rupee more than large chains of online offer, he explained quietly, I give free home delivery today and I am here to take your feedback. If anything is wrong, you come and tell me. I will change it. That service is inside this price. Many people nodded, some still walked away to another stall. That was fine. He had learned not to chase every passing voice. One evening, he found a quiet minute stood outside his shop again. The road was golden in a street light. The big store still had music, but it sounded far now. Like a tune from another room, a boy came up on a cycle and rang bell twice. A woman walked past with a big bag of vegetable and smiled at him in a one rainy ride with tied bags and a dented test of 3 lines wrote each morning, buy, sell and improve. He felt weight of his path and strengthened it had given him. He touched the shutter again and said softly, I am still here and I am not done yet. At home, his mother asked if he could have take day off next month to visit a relative in a village. He checked his routine in his head. It was yes. He could do it now. He would plan the day before and Sagar could handle the shop for few hours. This small yes was big sign. A business should serve life, not a swallow it. He promised himself he would keep the balance as he grew. Vihan stood at the window of his new office, the skyline shimmering with lights, and each one reminded him of the nights he had stayed awake, fighting doubt, fear, and endless failure. He was no longer the boy who had once hesitated to take his first step into the market. He was a man shaped by fire, molded by setback, and defined by resilience. The journey had been never about money alone. Of course, the number on the screen spoke loudly, crores of profit, business thriving, and many more things. But deep inside, Vihan knew his true wealth lay in the lessons he had collected. Each failure had been teaching him. Each rejection had been redirected him. He remembered the countless evenings when people had laughed at him, mocked his choices, and called him unrealistic. Those very voices had once shaken his confidence. Today, those voices were silent, replaced by applause and respect and admiration. But what made Vihan smile was not only their validation, it was his own quiet belief that kept him moving when no one else stood by him. Life has tested him very much brutally. There were days when even affording a single meal felt like a luxury. There were nights when he sat, his head buried in his hand, wondering if he was chasing a dream that would never come true. Yet, every single dream, he stood up again, one more try. He would whisper to himself. That whisper became his anthem, and the persistence became his superpower. Looking back, Vihan realized the truth. Success was never about one big breakdown. It was about the 1,000 little steps that no one else saw. The sacrifices, the discipline, the courage to stand when world pushed you down. That was created empires. As the sun dipped low, painting the sky in shades of gold, Vihan felt a deep sense of peace. He had achieved a financial freedom, yes. But more importantly, he had proved to himself and the world that no dream is too big if you are already giving it everything for it. Vihan turned away from the window and picked up his diary. On the last page, he wrote a single line: "The world remembers the winners, but it is the warrior who truly live." And with that, the story is found with the rightful ending, not in wealth, not in fame, but in an unwavering spirit of a man who refused to give up.